Alright, before I begin, if you're watching this right now, don't just scroll past. Listen. Share this video. Comment if you've ever seen something strange in the sky. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't some internet creepypasta or campfire story. My name is Daniel Harris. I'm 36 years old, a mechanic by trade, and I swear on everything I've got left that what I experienced was real. I know some of you are gonna laugh, say I'm drunk, say I'm making this up for clicks. But I'm not. I've got nothing to gain here except maybe keeping myself sane by putting it out into the world. Because for months, hell, maybe even years, I think something's been watching me. And then one night, it finally came for me. Let me start from the beginning. I live in a small town in northern Oregon. Not much more than 2 streets, 1 gas station, and a lot of dark, empty forest roads. After my divorce, I started renting this tiny house on the edge of town. Quiet place. Too quiet, maybe. At first it was little things. The way my dog would bark at the woods late at night, hackles raised even though nothing was there. Or the weird hum I heard once or twice when I'd step outside to smoke. A low vibration that didn't sound like any truck or plane I knew. But I brushed it off. Stress. Loneliness. My mind playing tricks on me. Then came that night in July, the night I can't forget no matter how hard I try. I was driving back from a late job. Guy's pickup broke down on the highway, and I stayed after hours to tow it back to the shop. It was around 1:30 in the morning, roads empty, the kind of quiet where you can hear your own engine echo. I took the back road home, the one that cuts through a stretch of forest before you reach town. That's when I noticed a light in the rearview mirror. At first, I thought it was just a car coming up behind me. High beams maybe, but it was too bright, too steady. White at the core, but shifting like it had a halo of colors around it, blue, green, even a flicker of red. It didn't bounce the way headlights should when you're on a cracked road. It hovered. I told myself it was a helicopter, maybe a police chopper, even though I knew there was no reason for one to be out there that late. But then it moved fast. It went from my mirror to directly above me in less than a second. My whole truck lit up inside like I'd driven under a stadium spotlight. I hit the brakes, heart pounding, and that's when my radio started going crazy. Static, screeching, every channel shifting like someone was flipping the dial back and forth 100 times a second. I tried to gun it, but the engine coughed, sputtered, and died right there in the middle of the road. The light above me grew brighter, so bright I had to cover my eyes, and then, I swear to you, I felt something. Not heat, not cold, but pressure. Like the air itself got thick, pushing against me from every direction. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It was like being trapped underwater, lungs screaming, and the last thing I remember before blacking out was the sound. That hum again, louder than ever, drilling into my skull until I thought my head would split open. When I woke up, I wasn't in my truck. I wasn't even on the road anymore. My first thought when I opened my eyes was that I'd crashed the truck and I was in some hospital room. But the air was too sharp, metallic, and the ceiling wasn't right. It wasn't a ceiling at all. It was this curved surface that shimmered like glass, but I couldn't see through it, like it was fogged from the inside. I tried to sit up, but straps across my chest and legs held me down. Panic shot through me, adrenaline kicked in, and I yanked against the restraints, but they didn't budge, not even an inch. That's when I noticed the light again, softer this time, glowing from strips along the edges of the walls. No fixtures, no bulbs, just pure white light seeping out like the room itself was alive. And then the sound came back. The hum, low and steady, vibrating inside my bones. I turned my head and saw something move in the corner. At first, I thought maybe it was another person strapped to a table like me. But no, it was taller, too tall. I stepped forward and I swear I stopped breathing. The figure was slim, elongated, almost human but not. Skin the color of ash with a faint bluish glow beneath it, like veins pulsing just under the surface. The head was long, smooth, no hair, and its eyes, God, those eyes, black, Not like human irises, but pure obsidian pools that reflected the light. They didn't blink. They just locked on me, and in that instant I felt something I can't explain. Not words exactly, but thoughts. Pressure inside my skull that wasn't mine. I shouted, "Where the hell am I?" My voice cracked, echoing strangely in the room. The figure tilted its head, almost curious, then another appeared behind it, and another. 3 of them, moving without sound, gliding more than walking. One raised its hand, or what I thought was a hand, and suddenly the straps around me loosened and slid away on their own. I sat up, but before I could move further, a force pushed me back down, invisible but undeniable. My arms trembled as I fought against it, but it was like trying to push through concrete. And then came the light again, this time from a small device one of them held. It wasn't a tool I recognized, just a sphere floating between its fingers, pulsing with soft light. The moment it hovered near my head, I felt an eruption of images. Flashes of stars, oceans, faces I didn't know, places I'd never seen. I screamed, but no sound came out, like they'd taken even that from me. My heart pounded, my mind stretched, and I thought I was dying. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The sphere dimmed and withdrew, and I collapsed back against the table, drenched in sweat. One of the beings leaned closer, and for a second, I thought I saw something human in those black eyes, like pity or maybe disappointment. It reached out, long fingers brushing against my temple, and I felt warmth spread through me, soothing the panic, numbing the fear. My eyelids grew heavy, and before I could fight it, darkness swallowed me again. The next thing I knew, I was back in my truck, engine running, headlights on, radio silent. But the clock on the dash said 3:47 a.m. More than 2 hours had passed. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely grip the wheel. I drove home on autopilot, barely remembering the turns, and when I finally parked outside my house, I just sat there, staring at the empty road behind me. The light was gone, the night quiet again, like nothing had happened. But when I stumbled inside and switched on the bathroom light, I saw them. Thin, red marks around my wrists and ankles, perfectly straight, like the straps had left their signature on my skin. And on my temple, right where that thing had touched me, there was a faint circular bruise, almost like a burn. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every shadow felt alive. Every creak of the house made me jump. And then, just before sunrise, I heard it again. That hum. Faint this time, distant but unmistakable. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. I started keeping a notebook after that night, because memory feels like a sieve now. Moments drain out of me and what's left is a smear of images and smells. I write down dates, times, what I'm sure of. July 14th, 1:32 a.m., back road. Woke up 3:47 a.m., truck stalled, straps marks, circular bruise on temple. Writing it makes it real, and real is something I can fight. The first week I told nobody. I told myself it was sleep deprivation, some weird neurological event from stress and late nights under the hood. But the marks didn't fade, and the hum kept coming back. Sometimes in the middle of the day like a distant transformer, sometimes so close I could feel it through the floor. My dog, Blue, refused to sleep in the bedroom. He'd press himself against the door and whine into the dark until I moved him. Once, he bolted straight through the back door and wouldn't come back until I walked the yard with a flashlight searching every tree and ditch. He never did that before. Then things escalated in small, ridiculous ways that piled into something huge. My phone would die in seconds when the hum came, battery dropping from 90 to 10% in minutes. My watch lost time, literally rewinding a few minutes and then jumping forward. I set up a cheap dash cam on the truck and a motion camera by the back door, because doubt is a head kicker and I needed footage to prove to myself I wasn't losing my mind. The first night, the camera caught nothing but static and a wash of light so bright the pixels went white for a full 2 minutes. The second night, the footage showed the truck rocking slightly as if from a gust of wind, a soft blue wash crossing the frame, and then a section of the recording sliced out, 1 minute 17 seconds missing, replaced by a smear of electronic noise. I replayed that noise until my ears bled looking for some pattern, some signal I could decode, but it was just a raw, alien scream to my equipment. I took the footage to Tom, my neighbor from down the street who runs the barber shop and has a knack for tech. He's the kind of guy who can solder a radio back to life and knows more about frequencies than anyone I trust. He watched the clip once, twice, then sat very still. "What did you want me to see?" he asked, like he was waiting for me to admit I'd edited it for drama. I told him everything I'd written in the notebook, and he laughed, the kind of laugh that tries to hide fear. We went outside to his van where he keeps an old ham radio and a stack of scanners. He hooked things up, tuned around the bands, and for an hour we listened to nothing but static and the whine of the town at night. Then, at 2:03 a.m., the same time, close enough that my skin prickled, his radio filled with a tone so pure it sounded like someone running a violin with a tuning fork inside my ribs. Tom cursed, fingers flying over knobs, but his face when he looked at me told me he heard more than I did. "You're not making this up," he said finally, and I felt a relief so sudden it made me dizzy. When I tried to take the camera footage to the sheriff, the deputy at the desk listened politely, took my USB stick, and said the technical term they use when they don't want to be involved, unverifiable. He asked if I'd seen any people, if I'd been drinking, if I'd been under stress. I wanted to show him the strap marks, the bruise, to make him do the thing everyone does when confronted with evidence. A decision to worry or dismiss, but it's like a switch with them. He told me to lock my doors and call if anything else happened. That night, someone or something woke me. I jolted upright to a sound like distant rain. Only it wasn't rain. It was 1,000 little metallic taps, like fingernails on a metal drum. The house hum that had become my background finally resolved into rhythm. Blue was at the foot of the bed, hackles up, teeth bared at the window. I padded to the kitchen. Every light I touched seemed to dim, as if the house itself was being slowly drained. On the back porch, the motion camera had been knocked from its mount and lay on the ground facing the trees. The SD card was gone. In its place, something small and flat had been tucked under the railing. A sliver of material that looked like metal but weighed almost nothing, edges perfectly smooth, with faint concentric scratches across its surface like tree rings. I picked it up with a towel because my skin crawled at the thought of touching it directly. Under a lamp, it reflected light in ways no steel or aluminum should. It shifted color depending on the angle, blue to green to a gray that tasted wrong in my mouth. I took it to Tom and we put it under a magnifier. He found no tool marks, no alloy composition he could name. "This isn't from here," he said. "I can't even get a read on it with the stuff I've got." He wanted to burn it to see how it reacted to flame, but I couldn't let him. Something about it felt like an anchor. Throwing it away might be equivalent to tossing a page out of a book I needed to finish reading. In the mornings, I'd find patterns in my sleep, dreams that felt like memories. I'd be walking a city street that wasn't anywhere I'd ever been, past buildings that breathed, and suddenly I'd be in a room with curved glass and figures watching me while a sphere of light floated and pressed visions into my skull. I'd wake with the taste of salt and metal and the faint smell of ozone. My friends at the shop said I looked tired, like I was living off a graveyard shift of adrenaline. My ex-wife called once, worried, and I lied and said I'd taken a long job out of state. I was ashamed, I think, of telling her I'd been abducted. Admitting it out loud felt like handing someone a weapon. Still, I had to know if I was alone in this. I dug through old news clippings at the library and found a 10-year-old piece about a series of cattle deaths in a county 30 miles away. A local guy swore the cattle had been found with strange marks and no tracks around them. Another article from the 80s mentioned a pilot who reported strange lights and missing time over a nearby reservoir. No sensational headlines, just small notes buried in the paper, as if editors preferred to ignore the edges of the map where stories disappear. The more I read, the more I felt like I had stepped into a long, unfinished pattern that everyone else had decided to pretend was a coincidence. 1 week into keeping the notebook, I began to notice something else. A pattern to the times. The hum, the lights, the missing minutes, they happened in clusters, 3 nights within a week, then nothing for days. When it happened, compasses would spin near me, digital clocks would flicker to midnight for a beat, and thermometers read a cold that didn't feel cold. A pressure in my sinuses, a tightening in my chest. I started carrying a small analog compass in my pocket because the digital one on my phone never missed a beat, and analogs are stubborn and honest. The compass needle twitched toward the west the moment the hum rose, as if pointing to where whatever this was came from. I tried to map those bearings on a crude map of the county and noticed they converged on a place nobody in town went to anymore. An old logging road and a collapsed fire tower out past Miller's Lake. The road is the kind of place people only go to dump trash or drink away from lights, overgrown with blackberry and young pines, and the fire tower, long abandoned, looks like a skeleton of a building that used to mean something. On a Saturday, I told Tom I was going out there, because fear is a kind of knowledge and I had to see if the lines on my map meant anything. He insisted on coming, and we took the truck out before dawn when the sky was the blackest and the world felt like paper. The road was worse than the map suggested, rutted, with slick clay where rain had chewed the surface. We parked near the old gate and hiked in with flashlights and the stupid bravado of people who think daylight will make monsters sensible. The tower loomed in the trees, a rusted frame leaning into the sky. Around its base, the undergrowth had been trampled, and the soil looked like it had been scoured. In the center of the scoured patch were 3 perfectly round depressions, each about the size of a man's palm, burned into the dirt. I crouched and touched the earth, cold, but with a metallic tang on my fingers. Tom took a picture and his camera glitched when he viewed it. A faint smear crossed the frame like the smudge on the dash cam footage. We left without saying much else because wherever we had stepped, the air felt thinner. That night, the hum came twice, and when it left it took a week of my sleep with it. I dreamed we were all on the other side of the glass, watching a planet turn, and in the dream the figures who'd strapped me down placed a thumbprint of light on my forehead like a stamp. I woke with the same bruise, clearer, as if someone had reapplied it. I don't know yet what they want from me. I don't know if this is research, if I'm part of an experiment, or if I'm just unlucky enough to be in their path. All I know is that the world has edges now where before there was only road, and those edges are sharp. I keep the notebook where I can reach it, and I keep the sliver of that material in a small tin beneath the floorboard by my bed because throwing it away felt like pretending nothing was happening. Tomorrow I'm going back to the tower, and if they come again, I'll try to do something different. I'll set more cameras, maybe try to record the hum in a way that can't be erased. I'll bring a friend who knows how to call for backup. I'll do anything to finish the sentence that started the night the light took me. But I'm writing this now because if you're seeing it, if this recording gets out, I want someone to know the truth as I remember it. If I vanish, if the notebook goes quiet, then at least this page will be there to say I tried. I woke before dawn, heart hammering, the sliver of metal still warm in my hand as if it had soaked up the night's energy. Tom wasn't with me. He'd insisted on waiting in the truck, and I had told him I needed to go alone this time. The forest road leading to the old fire tower stretched like a dark vein into the hills, and every step I took the hum started faintly, rising in pitch until it matched the thrum of my own heartbeat. The tower loomed ahead, rusted steel and broken wood, but the clearing beneath it was different this time. The 3 circular depressions were still there, etched deeper, and between them, the ground shimmered slightly, like heat over asphalt, only it wasn't heat. I stepped closer, and the moment my foot crossed the line, the air thickened so fast it felt like walking underwater again. I froze, and above me, the sky rippled, the clouds twisting in impossible ways, forming a lens of light that focused directly on the clearing. Then I saw them, 3 figures, identical to the ones from the room, gliding down from the rippling sky. They didn't touch the ground, didn't make a sound. Their black eyes locked on mine, and I felt the pressure in my skull again, only stronger. It wasn't fear. It was recognition, like they'd known I would come back. One extended a hand and the sphere of light appeared between its fingers. I expected pain, but instead it hovered, pulsing slowly, inviting. My legs moved before my mind could stop them, and I walked into the center of the 3 depressions. The hum filled me, filled the clearing, filled the world, and the sphere pressed against my forehead, but not violently, gently, insistently. In an instant, memories, visions, and sensations I couldn't name flooded me. I saw places beyond the sky, oceans of liquid light, cities that moved as if breathing, beings like them in endless harmony. And then a thought, clear, simple, terrifying, and liberating. You are part of this now. You will remember, but you cannot share all. You will be tested. I tried to scream, to resist, but my mouth was dry, my body heavy, and the world tilted. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in the clearing. The light was gone, the tower silent, and the hum had faded into the ordinary morning sounds of birds and wind through leaves. My truck was parked where I'd left it, Tom asleep inside, snoring softly. I shook him awake, trembling, trying to tell him, but when I pointed toward the clearing, all that remained were the depressions in the dirt, empty and cold, and the sliver of metal at my feet. I picked it up, trembling, and knew it had changed, slightly warmer, pulsing faintly, like it had a heartbeat. We left in silence. For days I avoided sleep, afraid the visions would return, afraid they'd come back for me if I rested. But slowly, the terror dulled, replaced by a constant awareness, a sense of being observed but not hunted. I work, I eat, I drive, but I feel it in every shadow, every reflection. The world looks the same, but I know what lies just beyond, in the spaces no one dares to see. I've tried to warn people, tried to tell friends, family, even authorities, but nobody can see it. Nobody can feel it. The notebook is full now, every page crammed with sketches, notes, angles, times, the hum transcribed the best I can, all the evidence I can hold. The last thing I wrote was this: they are real, they are patient, and now I am marked. But I know the edges of the world, and I know they are watching. Every night the hum comes, faintly, and I know it will not stop. I leave lights on, cameras running, doors locked, but deep down I know the truth. The abduction wasn't random. I was chosen, and though they have not taken me again, I feel it. The pull, the whisper in my mind that I will return. That one day, the sky will ripple and the world will tilt again, and I will walk into the light because it is not fear that drives me now. It is inevitability. I've survived, but I am not free. I am part of something bigger than the world, and I carry it with me in my head, under my skin, in the pulse of the metal shard they left behind. If you are reading this, know that some truths cannot be hidden, even if they cannot be fully told. Keep your eyes on the sky. Listen to the hum. And if it comes for you, do not fight what is inevitable. You are already part of the story.